Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your #1 source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
We have a level 1 risk for severe storms from the Triangle area northward and eastward this afternoon. I'll show you the timeline and what to expect from these storms.
You're looking live at I-40 from the WRAL Storm Tracker. The condition of the interstate this morning after severe storms brought down trees and caused problems for drivers.
Plus, a woman accused of helping hide a convicted murderer is due in court today. New developments today in the case of Ramon Alston's escape and the role of his acquaintance.
And we're just a week away from the start of school for Wilson County. The plan Springfield Middle School has to welcome students back, despite the building being hit by an EF3 tornado this month. But they are making significant progress there, which we'll show you. Good morning, everyone. It is 6 o'clock. Welcome to your Monday. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. Thanks for making us part of your routine here. A lot of schools back at school already. Some headed back. Some still have another week to enjoy before they get back.
Next week will be the big week.
Oh, there's no question. Yeah, so we're gearing up for that for you. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. We continue up and down with the severe risk today.
It's a nice quiet start this morning, but this evening we'll have another potential round of some severe storms, especially for our northern counties. Let's take a look at the timeline for this. Straight line wind damage is going to be our biggest threat. But again, we're nice and quiet this morning. The sun's starting to come up. We have a pretty sunrise just starting to develop across the area here at around 6 a.m. We pause it at noon and again, all quiet. But right around 5 o'clock, we start to see some storms developing to our north and west. Around 8 o'clock, we're seeing some of those approaching the triangle. And by 10 or 11, we're mostly done with it. Live look at Zebulon this morning. You can see the sky starting to light up a little bit. 69 is our temperature and our dew point 66. So it's a nice, comfortable start this morning. It'll be a warm afternoon with temperatures in the upper 80s. But once this last line of storms moves through today, we're going to see some big changes. I'll show you the big drop in our humidity coming up, Eric.
Elizabeth, taking a look at traffic here this morning. The biggest problem for folks out there, well, it's not really in the Raleigh and Durham area. It's going to be all the way up north of Durham on I-85 outside of Oxford. Had a crash out there this morning, happened about 2 hours ago, that has those northbound lanes at Highway 96 completely shut down right now. Traffic being diverted off onto the interchange, back on. It's a pretty quick diversion. Not seeing any major delays at this point, but that likely to be an issue out there for the next several hours.
Eric, thanks. Trees are down and debris is left behind after storms move through our area. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is live in the WRAL Storm Tracker, monitoring conditions on I-40 heading toward Willow Spring. And Kelsey, that was a big trouble spot for drivers last night.
Renee, that's exactly where we're headed right now. So we should get there in about 25 minutes or so. We'll give you a look now at road conditions here in Wake County. So there's nothing for you to worry about for your morning commute, but we'll give you a look now at what the drive looked like from Raleigh to Benson yesterday. People were driving slowly to avoid debris on the road. An NCDOT representative told WRAL that there were a few trees that had to be removed from the middle of the road. The rest were large trees that were leaning across guardrails and onto the shoulders. So traffic had to merge to one lane to avoid some of those large limbs. So we're going to keep you updated on the cleanup process throughout the morning, and we'll give you a live look at conditions out in Willow Spring when we get there. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Breaking news this morning, a man is in the hospital after he was stabbed in South Raleigh. This is video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. Police responded to Marble Street just after 11 p.m. That's where they found a man with stab wounds. He was taken to the hospital and is expected to be okay. Police were also investigating a gas station on South Saunders Street nearby right at the same time. It's not clear exactly what happened at that location, but a man is in custody for the original attack.
Today, we expect to hear from Springfield Middle School on how it's preparing to welcome students back next week. You'll remember the school in Wilson County was severely damaged by a tornado from Tropical Storm Debbie. WRAL's Laura Levine is live in Lucama this morning. And Laura, school is set to start a week from today. That's the plan anyway.
That is the plan. Good morning, Renee. And standing here in front of the school this morning, you know, we were here the day that tornado touched down. It's hard to believe that it was only a little over a week ago when that happened. Looking at the progress this morning, you can see behind me that this part of the building is fenced off. There's also some cones and caution tape at the top here of the roof. With the roof, we know that some temporary placements had to be positioned here as the work continues. But today, Superintendent Lane Mills says he does plan to share more about the progress at getting to this point and also getting the school back open to students. The 6th and 7th grade wings of the school suffered immense damage to the walls and roof, and the classrooms and other rooms on those wings are a total loss. Builder Services of NC has been working to remove excess water and secure the roof and walls that were damaged. The company determined 75% of the structure is safe and that students can return at the start of the school, which begins next Monday. They plan to bring in mobile units and also utilize the 8th grade wing and core of the school while the 2 damaged wings are rebuilt.
We can treat it like it's ours and everything's back to normal except for those 2 wings. Now, there'll still be some stuff on that's fenced off and that's safe, but the building is safe and functional.
That was Superintendent Lane Mills in last week's special meeting. It's important to mention that orientations will also take place as scheduled this week. Starting tomorrow, that's going to happen at Lacama Middle School. Today's meeting begins at 6:30. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Lacama.
A woman accused of helping to hide an escaped murderer is expected in court today. Jacobia Crisp is in jail right now, expecting to make her first court appearance in Orange County. She's charged with aiding and abetting a convicted murderer in his escape from prison. Ramon Alston was arrested in Kannapolis after a 3-day manhunt. He was behind bars for killing a 1-year-old child in Chapel Hill. Now, investigators have not said exactly how he escaped custody.
The Democratic National Convention kicks off today in Chicago. Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, are set to formally accept their party's nomination. President Joe Biden is expected to kick off the convention as the keynote speaker tonight. Other speakers include former presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton. Harris will cap off the convention Thursday night after she is formally named the Democratic nominee.
Hey, good morning. Chris Lovingood here in the WRAL Live Center, actually looking ahead in Chicago. This is Trump Tower, where Democrats have projected some images on it. You see right there, Project 2025 HQ there, sort of a bit of a dig at the Trump campaign. I want to show you what it looks like right now in Chicago. As you'll see here, this is the United Center, where it's quiet right now, but in a few hours that'll change as you'll see things get underway during the Democratic National Convention. And as that is happening, it is quite likely we'll see more protesting happening. Pro-Palestinian protesters were outside in Chicago protesting, demanding for a ceasefire there. Protesters holding banners and signs that read "Free Palestine." Of course, this is happening at a time as Secretary of State Antony Blinken is overseas right now trying to help broker a deal to end the fighting between Israel and Hamas for a ceasefire deal. And this is all looming as an expected retaliatory attack from Iran is expected on Israel.
Also, Chris, ahead this morning on Today, a preview of what to expect at this week's Democratic Convention. The Today Show gets started 7 o'clock right here on WRAL.
Today, Wake County leaders will consider buying a property for a permanent drop-in shelter for the community's homeless population. Currently, white flag shelters open in Wake County when it's 32 degrees or below. The new shelter will not just be for those white flag nights, but for any time someone needs a place to stay. It would house about 100 people. Commissioner Matt Calabria says a single permanent shelter will be easier for the county to streamline and coordinate.
So we want to make sure that we have a facility that's permanent, predictable, everyone knows where it is, and has all the facilities and amenities that we want it to have. So this is going to enable us to do that really for the first time.
Calabria says the cost to buy and maintain the facility is already included in the budget passed in June, so the permanent shelter will not result in any tax increase.
Part of the beach in Rodanthe will be closed for the next few days after a house fell into the surf there. We first showed you this video Friday. This home on Corbina Drive in Rodanthe just washed out into the ocean. Crews have been cleaning up that debris since Saturday.
People in Wilson County held an event in Rocky Mount to raise money for the family of a woman and her 6-year-old daughter who were killed last Sunday. Kira Massenberg and her daughter Zoe were shot in what investigators say was a murder-suicide. Sunday's fundraiser was held at the Barracks in Rocky Mount.
We had the tragic death of a young mother and her daughter for something really senseless to all of us. That's something we would never, no one of us would ever understand why. So we just decided to come out today to support the family, help them with anything they could need, let them know that the community is here for them.
We just making it day by day. And everybody keeping us in the prayer is helping us.
People who attended were asked to wear purple. There will be a vigil on Thursday as well in honor of the mother and daughter.
College students across the Triangle will begin classes today. It's the first day of the fall semester for NC State, UNC Chapel Hill, and North Carolina Central University. Duke begins classes Monday.
Happening today, we're expecting to hear updates regarding the Go Raleigh Access Program. That's the city's ADA paratransit service. We're expecting to learn more about a program that provides free rides for low-income riders. It comes as the city reintroduces fares to its transit system. The public meeting will be at Chavis Community Center from 6 to 8 tonight.
We're at 10 after 6 on your Monday right now. New video into our newsroom shows the flooding and mudslides in Connecticut after heavy rain there. We have a look at the rescue efforts happening. Michelle.
Yeah, you might want to think twice before letting your pets drink out of those communal water bowls. We'll have the warning from vets this morning. And a really nice start weather-wise for us this morning.
It's a beautiful start, but we do have the potential for some scattered storms this afternoon and evening and a level 1 risk for severe storms. I'll walk you through the timeline.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
6:13, we have a level 1 risk for severe storms. Straight line wind damage would be our biggest threat from the Triangle area, mainly to the east and to the north. So we're looking at that fairly late today, more like evening, say around 5 or 6 o'clock. We start to see that potential to jump up to around 40% or so. Not likely to be as widespread as it was yesterday, just that level 1 instead of yesterday's level 2 risk. Pretty sunrise in progress this morning. This is a look at downtown Raleigh. You see those pretty colors there on the horizon. 68 right now in Rocky Mount, 71 in Goldsboro, 70 in Fayetteville, and 69 in Tarboro. So it's a comfortable start. If you're headed out the door to walk the dog, feels pretty good this morning. Our dew points have started to drop, but they'll drop even more tomorrow. Today's highs in the upper 80s, and we have a big cool down coming our way. I'll show you coming up, Eric.
I'll take a look at traffic here this morning. You can see we don't have any major issues here in the Triangle. Instead, the biggest headache for drivers is going to be way up here, I-85 northbound outside of Oxford. We have a crash here on those northbound lanes right at Linden Avenue, State Highway 96, that has the northbound side shut down. That traffic is being diverted off at that exit. That's exit 202 and back onto the highway. You can see it's causing some slight slowdowns here, but no major delays here this morning. Still, if you're headed northbound on 85 past Oxford, you're going to want to keep this in mind because this delay is likely to last for several hours here this morning. Renee?
All right, Eric, thank you. More news to tell you about. Kamala Harris and her running mate Tim Walz are making their way to the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. They kicked off their busy week yesterday in western Pennsylvania. Harris and Walz stopped at a phone bank in suburban Pittsburgh to meet with campaign volunteers and supporters. They made several other stops in the area, including at a fire station and at a local restaurant.
Former President Donald Trump will hold a rally today in York, Pennsylvania. This comes 2 days after he spoke for more than an hour during a rally in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, about 2 hours north of York. Trump says he plans to visit battleground states during each day of this week's Democratic National Convention, and that'll include a stop in North Carolina Wednesday in Asheboro.
An investigation is underway after 5 people were shot in a park in Boston last night. Police say they responded to reports of gunfire at the park. 3 men and 2 women were taken to hospitals. They're expected to survive. Investigators have not identified any suspects. They say they're reviewing surveillance video from the area.
Sharing is not always caring. That's the warning being given to pet owners who let their four-legged friends share communal water bowls. WRAL's Michelle McConaughey is here now with what experts say you should do instead. I'm guilty of this one, letting my dog drink out of those.
Listen, a lot of people are, but those water bowls, Jeff, you often see at dog parks or outside of some restaurants, are more dangerous than they look. There are several infectious or transmittable diseases that dogs can get when they drink out of them. If not cleaned regularly or if water is left standing for extended periods of time, vets say those stagnant bowls can start to retain dangerous contaminants. We're talking mold, toxins, and parasites carrying diseases like salmonella. But one expert says if it's the only option on a very hot day and your pet looks like it's struggling, it may be worth the risk.
The risk of drinking out of the water bowl is going to become a lot less than the risk of your dog getting heat stroke or heat exhaustion or severe dehydration.
But of course, there are things you can do to reduce the risks. Vets say it's best to leave prepared, carry a water bottle just for your dog.
Michelle, thanks. 2 people are missing in Connecticut after heavy rain caused this huge mudslide and flooding, prompting evacuations. Officials say they were caught in floodwaters and swept into a river. One person was in a car, the other was clinging to a sign. Emergency crews evacuated a building there. Check this out. You can see people crawling on this fire truck ladder to safety. 19 people and a dog were rescued from floodwaters. A new video into our newsroom shows people had to be rescued from their cars when they got stuck in flash flooding in Connecticut. You can see people wading through the water there. Look at how high that water was. Some cities have seen up to 9 inches of rain, prompting flash flood warnings. Thankfully, no injuries have been reported, but a dangerous situation there, Jeff.
Well, that's just an awful scene with those cars flooded up to their roofs right there. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with another angle on this story, just those rainfall totals.
Yeah, so there was a front that helped to create all of this heavy rain. You see this dark brown area, that's going to be over 10 inches of rain. It was a fairly small area, but of course you can see just how much trouble that caused with all that flooding of those cars underwater. The orange shaded area is going to be over 6 inches of rain. So between Danbury, Bridgeport, New Haven, and Waterbury, southwest of Hartford, that's where all that flooding was just a day or so ago. We take a look at our weather headlines. We have the potential for some isolated storms today that could produce some wind damage. We're also watching Ernesto as it continues to pull away from the United States, and it will start to ease up our rip current danger. And then behind this last system here coming through, it's going to feel like September. Take a live look at Zebulon this morning. Pretty clear sky out there. This is the front that brought us some scattered storms last night, and that continues to push eastward. There's another disturbance. You can start to see some of that rainfall developing there in West Virginia. That's going to drop in on us late today and bring us that level 1 risk for severe storms. The biggest threat would be wind damage. Take a look at Futurecast. We're nice and clear this morning. We'll see sunshine through the afternoon, a little on the warm side in the upper 80s, but we have much cooler air coming behind this last little system. At 5 o'clock, we start to see some of those storms in our northwestern counties, and around 9 to 10, it's in some of our southern counties. Once that moves on by, we're going to see a nice flow coming out of the northwest. That's going to dry things out for us. It's going to drop our humidity and bring us some really nice cool mornings. We'll see our best chance for rain for the rest of the week today, and then we're nice and dry. We've had plenty of rain, so you probably don't need to water. We take a look at Hurricane Ernesto. Still has winds at 85 miles per hour, moving northeast at 21, but it is definitely moving off the coast of the United States and off the coast of Canada too. It's going to brush by some of the Canadian provinces there with fairly strong winds, but should be fairly minimal damage that happens with that storm because it's on the they're going to be on the right side of the storm. We still have high rip current danger for most of the coast of North Carolina today, but as Ernesto moves on off, that should ease up a bit. But boy, a lot of folks over the weekend got into trouble along the coast of North Carolina. 41 rescues from rip currents, 35 of those were at Wrightsville Beach alone. So it is definitely something you should always check before you get in the water, on through the rest of the summer. Speaking of summer, how about some fall temperatures? 80 degrees on Wednesday, looking lovely, and our overnight low drops down to 59. So some real pretty weather. Eric, I wish that we could say that, hey, we're done with all the heat, but it may come creeping back a little bit next week.
Look, I'm going to cling to those nice temperatures for as long as we got them. You can't complain in August. And you know what? You can't really complain about this either. A lot of green all all the way across the map for Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. The biggest issue we're facing right now actually going to be all the way up in Oxford, way off to the north, I-85 northbound here. You can see 85 shut down at Linden Avenue, State Highway 96. That caused by a crash earlier this morning. Traffic is being diverted off at the exit there and then back on. So it's not leading to any major backups at this point, but that is going to slow you down if you're headed that way, and that crash likely to remain in place for the next several hours.
Eric, thanks. The woman accused of helping Ramon Alston hide after he escaped is due in court today.
And what we know about Jacobia Crisp and her alleged role in the murderer's escape.
Plus, two big WNBA stars are setting the bar even higher. The new records for Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark.
And have a look right here, your NC Education Lottery winning numbers there. We're back with what's trending next.
This What's Trending report, sponsored by Rug & Home.
Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are both adding new milestones to their resumes.
Time for a look at what's trending.
Yeah, check it out. They're back in action last night during the Indiana Fever's win over the Seattle Storm. Clark broke the WNBA single-season rookie record for assists. Clark had 9. That adds to her total 232 now. Angel Reese became the fastest WNBA player to record 20 double-doubles, although her team, the Chicago Sky, ultimately lost to the Phoenix Mercury.
So impressive how these two superstars are making their mark in their rookie seasons, but also as rivals, they are pushing each other too. And the WNBA, benefits and fans benefit from it.
Yeah, sold out game. Yeah. Playoffs on the way.
Boston Celtics star Jason Tatum and Florida Panthers star Matthew Tkachuk are recreating a throwback picture from their childhood. The two reunited for the St. Louis Cardinals game where they threw out the first pitch together. And check out this photo they recreated with one of their childhood classmates, their 7th grade picture.
This is
look at him
crazy.
now.
Look at him on the bus right there. So how do you put together a future NHL superstar and a future NBA superstar who went to Duke, by the way, and then put it all, and then they win their championships in the same year?
Iconic.
I love it. Tonight at 6, WRAL investigates nearly $200 million in taxpayer money sent out to kids to private or religious schools.
If I'm paying my taxes for my kids, I would like to just allocate those funds to the school that we choose for them to be at.
The state school voucher program is growing. Tonight at 6, WRAL investigates back to school, where our money is going and why some argue it may be better spent on something else.
And another round of thunderstorms is likely this evening. It's a level 1 risk. I'll show you the timeline and what you could expect where you are.
And we're live in the WRAL Storm Tracker this morning, tracking damage from yesterday's storm. Just ahead, the cleanup efforts that have happened over the past 24 hours.
And here's a live look at Chicago, where the Democratic National Convention gets started today in the United Center. Just ahead, what's on tap for day 1 and the security concerns as protests are expected.